quality as a luxury. However, software development organizations that have a firm commitment to quality can actually speed development, reduce costs, and add new features in a more easy way. Organizations that develop low-quality software waste a lot of time in fixing defects or finding entry points to introduce new features. Software quality has three aspects: functional quality, structural quality, and process quality. So let's start with functional quality. Functional quality means that the software meets the specified requirements, that the software is reliable, doesn't compromise security, that has good enough performance, and that it's easy to learn and easy to use. Structural quality means that the code itself is well structured. Unlike functional quality, structural quality is hard to test for. The attributes of this type of quality include code testability, code maintainability, code understandability, code efficiency, code scalability, and code security. The third aspect is process quality, which is also critically important because it affects the value received by users, development teams, and sponsors. The attributes of process quality include meeting delivery dates, meeting budgets, and a repeatable development process that reliably delivers quality software. If it's not repeatable, then it isn't a quality process. True process quality means being consistent from one project to the next. So let's talk about code review as a tool to improve structural quality. And this presentation is all about it. One way to code reviewing is via pull requests. We are all used to pull requests, right? Like the ones you have in GitHub or Bitbucket. Under the fork and pull request model, you fork of the original repo and start making changes. Then you push the branch with the changes to the fork repo. Then you create a pull request to tell the original repo's owner that you want your branch merged into the original repo. Then both parties start exchanging opinions via leaving comments in a Facebook fashion way and potentially making inline comments to the code. After some back and forth, in which the contributor modifies the branch several times until the owner feels it's ready, hopefully the changes are merged into the original repo. However, for three reasons, GitHub's fork and pull solution is not the best implementation for code review, in our humble opinion, right? One reason is that it's branch-based. The other is that it's merge-based. And there's another reason involving dialog volatility. Branch-based means that it allows n commit per feature, that it doesn't enforce keeping a clean history, and that it can be difficult to correct branches with commits from many authors. Merge-based means that if the branch under review is not up to date, then the CI report may not be accurate, and that you have history polluted with merge commits. And then you have dialog volatility, which means that rebasing generates loss of comments. That comment can group or with, making it difficult to follow up. I hope everyone is okay. That it is difficult to make decisions based on the reviewer comments. It is difficult to track the evolution of changes, and that you have line level granularity for comments. So you only have one comment per line of code, right? You cannot highlight a piece of code and then write a review. Sorry. So for all these reasons, we decided not to use the fork and pull model. Our investigation of various solutions led us to Gerrit. So what is Gerrit? Gerrit is a Git repository like GitHub or Bitbucket. Users can upload their project to Gerrit and clone them from Gerrit. Unlike GitHub, it is not cloud-based, and anyone can install Gerrit on servers you manage. That's a cool thing. Yeah. It is also a code collaboration tool. It allows different contributors upload their patches to be reviewed and potentially merged with the main branch. It is a code review tool. It allows different reviewers to inspect the submitted code and democratically vote for merging the code or not. And it is a code validation tool. It can be hooked up with Jenkins, a continuous integration server. Jenkins runs the tests looking for errors. The practice of building and validating code incrementally through the day is essential for maintaining quality. You can also extend its functionality through plugins. For instance, you can have it replicate the repository to GitHub. And for example, it can validate some stuff for you automatically. For instance, that the commit message is less than 80 characters long, right? So you can add plugins to Gerrit. So let's talk about how it works. Without Gerrit, you commit your changes to a local repo, and you push your branch to a remote repo. With Gerrit, you commit your changes to local, and then you push your commits to Gerrit. Commits are reviewed one at a time by one or many reviewers. Reviewers make their comments and determine if the commit is ready to be merged or not, giving a score ranging from -2 to +2. The +1 and -1 level are just an opinion, whereas the +2 and -2 levels are allowing or blocking the change. In order for a change to be accepted, it must have at least +2 and no -2 votes. Although these are numeric values, by default, they in no way accumulate. 2 positive ones do not equate to a +2. This can be...
Yeah, this comes into play because there will be a lot of developers that may not have the experience necessary to grant and approve, so +2, but they may feel that it is good, and they may give it a +1, and maybe I don't know, there are 10 of them, but then comes a developer that knows the project and knows a lot about what's going on and says, okay, no, this cannot go through. So that's why there is no adding of the values.
Yeah. But you can add in some plugins, right?
Yes.
To change the way Gerrit behaves by default.
If you have a team that's homogeneous, so everybody knows what they are doing, then yeah, you're gonna have it 2 +1s be a +2 or 3 or 4.
Exactly. And also Gerrit triggers with Jenkins branch validation. Jenkins acts as another reviewer, but it votes in a different box reserved for verification purposes. Jenkins would give a +1 if the test pass and a -1 if they don't. Human reviewers can also vote in the verification box, for example, after performing a manual inspection. So let's talk about the workflow. This diagram represents the project's repository remotely stored in Gerrit database. If Gerrit is connected with a continuous integration server, then the continuous integration server runs automated tests and verifies that the result is okay. Code pushed to a remote repo must have been reviewed and the test passing. Branch master points to a commit named A1 here, as you can see. So here the developer clones the repo to its local Git environment. Here, the developer makes some local changes to the code, and then she commits changes to a commit named C2, all local. Here, the developer pushes the change to Gerrit for review. Conceptually, each change in Gerrit is composed of a commit message and the difference between the current change and the previous one. The reviewer then compares the current change against master, checks quality of work performed, and makes inline comments to the code. The reviewer can also compare the last change version with any of the previous versions. Then, the reviewer replies to the developer with a summary of the review, a score ranging from -2 to +2, and a verification status from -1 to +1. If the code is not ready to be merged, then the developer receives a notification, reads a summary, and makes appropriate corrections as necessary. Then she amends the commit and pushes a new version of the change for review. This back and forth continues until the change is finally accepted. I missed this part. So here, the reviewer is comparing both versions of the change and making some inline comments. We will have, if we have time, we will have a lead demo of Gerrit. And here, the reviewer is saying, please be careful with indentation, use spaces instead of tags, also pay attention to unnecessary lines, unnecessary blank lines, I think it says. And it gave the contributor a -1 and a 0 for verification. So Jenkins ran the tests, and some of them failed. Bummer. The changes are not ready to be submitted. Here, the developer reads the notification from Gerrit and makes appropriate corrections as necessary. Then she amends the commit and pushes the new version of the change for review. The test ran successfully, and the change is ready to be reviewed. The reviewer reviews the code and gives a +1 to the code. Yay! So the change is approved, and Gerrit automatically merged the commit with master. Notice that the merge strategy is always fast forward. Gerrit doesn't allow to push changes that cannot be fast forwarded to the branch. Actually, a lot of things in Gerrit are customizable, configurable. So this is one of the things that you can configure, making Gerrit to, instead of following a fast forward strategy, to follow a merge strategy. Yes. And Gerrit will automatically resolve conflicts, right?
No, Gerrit will merge only if there is no conflict.
If there is no conflicts.
Yeah, the code always needs to be compatible with the latest master, but Gerrit can create a merge commit if it cannot fast forward directly.
Are you sure that it won't try to resolve any conflict?
Yes.
In the last version?
Yes.
Okay.
Sure.
All right. So we'd like to talk about our experience. We have been using Gerrit for 3 years now. We would love to tell you some of the stuff we learned, some of the stuff that you need to avoid, and some of the stuff you will want to follow. Implementing a code review process is a difficult task. It is an impact in your organization culture, and people used to react against it. For example, Gerrit introduces an opinionated code review process, and it requires people to adapt themselves to a new thing. You know, change is always difficult.
Yes, change is hard.
Yeah, change is hard. Gerrit user interface is unappealing in terms of look and feel, making the adoption process even more painful, right? It is also difficult to get everyone in the team on the same page in terms of code reviewing. Some people are very picky and would deny a change for a minor detail. But on the other hand, you will have people that are very permissive. So the goal is rejecting a change if the action, so if rejecting favors high quality, right? So it is important to define a baseline quality level, have coding standards, have guidelines for writing tests, have documentation guidelines, and have a criteria for voting -1 and -2. It all comes to egoless programming. So the goal here is to minimize personal factors so that quality may be improved. Reviewers should be made in a friendly, reviews should be made in a friendly, colloquial way in which personal feelings are put aside. Developers should understand they are not their code. That's very hard.
Yes.
And reviewers should critique code instead of people. And that's also very hard.
Yes.
We recommend reading The Psychology of Computer Programming, a book written in the late 70s, that it's up to date. I mean, you can read it and you can see yourself in that book. Code reviewing helped us create good habits. Knowing that all the code we write will be reviewed made us be more cautious. Code reviewing helps cultivate looking at the code with a critical eye. Sometimes, and it happens to every company in this business, sometimes the client doesn't want to pay the cost of quality. So our advice is to educate about the benefits of high quality code. Try to convince the client that high quality code really pays off. Evaluate if the client is a good fit, and just say no to an incoming prospect. I mean, getting into business with the wrong person, no matter how desperate you are for new blood, could result in disaster. To sum up, Gerrit is hard. And it is hard because it forced us to do things in a different way, the right way, right?
We believe on this.
We really believe that. That's the way. Its user interface is not very appealing. That's a fact. Gerrit has no mercy. I mean, it forces you to follow a strict code delivery process. And also, as a developer, it brings the best and worst of you. And also, as a reviewer, it brings the best and worst of you. So, yes, you will hate it, but it's totally worth it. I mean, after 3 years, we can tell you that we have no regrets about using it. It has helped us become better programmers. It has taught us about a lot about ourselves and the way we work with each other. It has taught us learn about Git in a more professional way. It allowed us to share knowledge and good practices in a more systematic way. It helped us catch really nasty bugs before the code reaches the repo. And some of our clients have adopted Gerrit as their code review tool. We have some references, and if we have enough time, we would like to make a lead demo.
Yes, to demonstrate how will be a normal workflow.
Yeah.
How is our everyday using Gerrit?
Exactly. Do we have time?
Yeah, I think, I mean,
Yeah.
if I see that if there are people, do people have any questions now before the demo? Maybe we can, if there are some questions, we can take up.
Before the demo, yeah. Well, first up, thank you very much, ThinkCats, for the opportunity. Thanks everyone for listening. We'd love to hear from you if you have any questions about the presentation so far. Maybe we can clarify them through the demo.
Okay, I think it seems that Paul and some other Rachel prefers to have the demo. So maybe you guys can go ahead with the demo. But yeah, thanks for the presentation. I really like the, yeah, I have another question at the end, but I like the pictures also, what you guys are using. So it's really nice.
Thank you. So I will stop sharing my screen and I will start sharing it for 1 second.
Okay. Switch to tab.
Yeah, I will switch to tab. There we go. Let's see your screen too.
Share the latest. Absolutely.
Here we go. All right. Yeah, the latest change is show here. Can you see the screen?
Yes.
Can you see me using Gerrit?
Yes.
So this is Gerrit.
So what we have here is the change screen. So first off, we can start up here. Gerrit traditionally, and here at least, we like to be able to, for every developer, to review anybody's code. So if I come here to the dashboard of Gerrit, I can see all the changes that have been pushed to every commit, to every project. And here I get a glimpse of what everyone's doing, or what projects are more active than others. Who, you know, I get a general understanding of the culture of the company.
Yeah.
Let's say. So here, this is the change that we're going to review. At first, we know that no one has reviewed it, and that it has been verified by our CI server. And we also get a glimpse of how big the change that we're going to review is, and that's fairly important, so you can prepare yourself to read a lot or not a lot of code. So once we enter the change screen, we are presented with the files that have been changed, added, or removed, the person that did it, the commit message, and if here we will have all the versions that have been uploaded for this particular change. We will also get a list of possible conflicts, so other changes that may result in merge conflict with this one. So we can plan ahead and decide how we are going to merge them, in which order.
So maybe one important thing is that compared to GitHub's way, here you only push one commit, right?
Yes.
You don't push a branch, and you're going to review one commit. And what the contributor does is to change that commit, amend that commit as many times as necessary. And every time the contributor amends the commit, then an internal ID is incremented.
Yes.
So Gerrit can keep track of the patches.
Yes.
Right?
The patches are the versions for this change. So every amend that this commit has happened is here, and we can review it in the past. We can even merge a previous one if you like, if we want to. That's not really the workflow normally, but it can happen. So even other developers, so this commit here has not reached the repository yet. So no one else will be able to use it normally. So if they fetch the repo, they won't have this new change. But if some other developer needs it by some reason, because they can be dependent on this, they can download this particular commit and keep working on it and keep increasing it. So that's not a blocker. And the commit has not reached the repo yet because the quality is not good enough. It's not necessarily blocking someone else from working based on this.
Yeah, even this commit can be abandoned.
Yes.
Here you have a big red button. So if you want to commit something and then abandon it, you can do it.
Yes. You can even create draft commits. So draft commits are something that are just for you. You will be the only one seeing them. So that's good if if you have some WIP and you want to just push it up so you don't lose it.
Yeah.
You can do it and nobody else needs to watch it or review it. So, okay, once we get here, we can select the file. And what this is showing us is the difference between the version that we are viewing right now is version 3 and base. Base is the current content of the master branch. So like this file is new, you won't see anything here. So we can keep going through the files, the interface. Aside from having these arrows here, there are keyword shortcuts that are listed here to make it easier for the reviewer to go by the files and to add comments and do the objective is that the reviewing should be easy and should be practical. And from all the tools that I have tested, this is the one that I like the best for doing code reviews.
Yeah, actually, you know, the user interface of Gerrit has been criticized, but once you get used to it, it's very, you know, you can really, you know, review the code in a very efficient way.
It's really efficient. If you like, you can even change the way the code is shown. So maybe you like, or I think no. So you can change the style. You can change it to be like GitHub, when when the changes are merged and it says what's old and what's new. But I prefer the side-by-side view. So right now we are not seeing nothing really interesting because in those are all new files. But as we move on, we will demonstrate how we are going to compare previous versions with new ones. So right now we can see all the files have been added, and I can create comments for this file. So we can say here, please. So nothing like this happened, and then we can go on. So, and at first, so reviewing is something, it's like a learning I don't know, skill. So you need to do it a lot so you can get good at it and see what you like to look for, because different people like to look for different things. There are people that is completely business first, leave a space there, or you leave a blank line somewhere. There are people that are really syntax based and they just check syntax. They don't even look at the logic. We have I don't know, a lot of people checking for different things. So it's good to have everybody in the company having a look at the code. Even if they are not in the project, they can bring something in that can help increase quality.
Yeah.
So at first glance, we have a lot of new code here, but we don't have any new tests. So this tells us that server forgot to add tests, forgot to push them, or something went wrong in there. So that will be a first sign that this needs to be reshaped.
Reply to the review with a message that complements the messages that the comments that you already wrote in the code.
Yes. So yeah, you have comments per file, and you have a global comment that's about the whole change.
You can see here. You can see below.
I have here.
Yeah. Please implement you have please add tests, and then please implement this on line 6.
And here you see this. And then once you create a comment or you post a comment for that's only a draft. Okay, I have to publish them like this, so I give it a score of -1. So now the developer will go back and will add the missing tests. So and create a new version, a new patch set of the change with the test. So right now we are pushing the new change, and now that the new change is live, we can refresh this. And then you see that there is a patch set 4. So as soon as the new patch set is pushed up, Jenkins, our CI server, starts running the code. So this is automatically, so you don't even need to think about it. There is no one that needs to go do some hand testing or whatever. Even if the developer forgets to run the code in his machine, we make sure that no code reaches the repo. That's a really big point. In the past, before we use Gerrit, we had some repositories that were broken maybe for 1 day, a month, or the time it took for someone to fix it, because in the rush you may forget or things that happen. So
yeah.
It's a good way to enforce that things work.
Checking is ready.
Yeah. So here it has finished running the tests, and the test has been passed. So
and you can see the report from Jenkins below.
Yes. So Jenkins provides a link, so you can check the link and see what Jenkins has to say about it.
I think I need to log in.
Yeah, you need to log in.
Yeah.
So in there you will see a nice report of the changes of the test that has been run and the result. So now we can see that we have new code. These files doesn't have the check because I haven't read them yet. But before I want to show, aside from comparing what the contents of master right now are, you can compare with the previous patch. So for instance, I can say, okay, I don't want to compare against master, I want to compare against the patch 3. That was the last one that I saw. So in here it says, okay, from the previous version to this, what it has happened is that new files have been added. So there I can come in here and see that we have tests for all the new methods. And then sometimes what it might happen is, where I'm going to simulate in this case, is that, okay, so in the first review you encounter some stuff and you comment on something, but something skips you. So then you go a second pass, and then you see, okay, someone that knows the logic, or yes, maybe someone else comes along and reviews again, and says, okay, no, for this is wrong. We will need to, what we need to do, so if it's equal to false. So, and the person making the code should not feel bad or should not get angry, because this happens. So you may get some comments, you fix them, and then you get a comment totally different. So because someone else forgot to review it, or someone realized something new, and badly.
Yeah.
So okay, so
you're not the code, basically.
Yes, you're not the code. No one is trying to harm you on purpose. We are just trying to improve ourselves and do better things. So then again, it comes and says, okay, so this is it. So what I'm going to do as a developer is, okay, I receive an email.
Hey, I rejected your change.
Yes.
Aren't you feeling bad?
No, I hate you. So then I receive an email and say, okay, I read the comment, and what I basically do is follow what I have been said. So I will. So I push again. So I'm in a hurry because we need to get to production in 2 hours. So I make the fix that I have been asked to do. And then, so again, what I see, it says here that this file has to be reviewed because this has changed it. Again, I can compare, instead of with master, I can compare with the previous version. This is really helpful to see how the change is progressing. Because I see here that I had this comment in the version 4, but in version 5 it has been fixed. So yeah, that happened. I am happy, but now we will need to wait for Jenkins to run it. Because as always, every new change implies that even the code, even it may be 95% the same, like in this case I just deleted one line, that may have broke something.
Yep.
That's always a risk. So right now we need to wait a few seconds for Jenkins to run the tests. While we are waiting, I can tell you, okay, we don't need to wait anymore. So yeah, here I just changed a little line because and I was in a hurry, so I didn't even run the test in my VM in my machine. And then what do you know? I broke something. So Jenkins here is telling me, okay, you break it. Even if the developer now comes and say, okay, this code is good, we won't be able to merge this. Jenkins, if you have a verified -1, that means that this code cannot go to the repository.
Yeah.
So I, as a developer, need to check this. I will receive an email again, and I will need to fix this. So in this case, fixing it means that there was a test that we don't need anymore because that condition, or we can change the condition of the test rather. So then I go. So again,
Background music.
Has been pushed. Yeah.
There you go.
So right now, again, we can review whatever changed. We go to the last version, the last patch set. We see that the file change in question was this spec.
I think.
You click the other one? No.
Yep.
I click the correct one.
Okay.
So yeah, now when it should have been changed, when I was coding, I say, okay, if the day is equal, then it should not be timeout instead of should be. So
you're a fast programmer.
Yeah. So right now, yeah, I get a +1 from Jenkins. That means okay, all the tests have passed. So as you see previously, Gustavo was placed a +1 in the commit in the change, but that gets lost every time I upload a new version because what he approved was the previous version.
Yeah.
The next version can be something totally different. So Gerrit says, okay, just to be safe, let's have Gustavo review again and approve again. So right now, after Gustavo is reviewing, let me. So if you see here, some of the stuff that is really helpful for Gerrit is that you can restrict a lot of things. So like if you're probably maybe a junior, he may not have the rights to give a +2. He can just say, okay, this looks good to me, but somebody else should take a look at it. So all that he can do is that.
Are you telling I'm a junior?
No. But then someone else may come along. Let me see if I got the rights to do it.
Okay.
Maybe I'm a junior should know. So right now you cannot see my screen, but I have another option that is to give a +2. So once I do that, we refresh this, and we see that somebody else has come along and has said, okay, this has been ready to merge. Again, Gustavo doesn't have the right to merge this message, this change. So Gerrit allows you to divide responsibilities really clearly. So we may have junior or senior developers that can say this looks good to me. Then, when a certain number of those has passed, a senior developer can come and say, okay, this is really good, we can really merge it. But the responsibility of taking that code to the master branch or passing that to the repo can be for a different person.
And here, that's one of the main difference with GitHub's approach,
Yeah,
where it's very difficult having many reviewers reviewing the code, and having one person deciding upon the comments from many reviewers. Here you have a voting mechanism, and it's more easy to have the big picture of what happened here.
Yeah. So for instance, a senior developer might come here and see that this has a lot of -1, and may say, okay, I'm not going to review this because I know this is bad because a lot of people have said this is bad. So
yeah,
that's probably the case. So the point that I was trying to make, so we can assign a particular role, for instance, to deployers, to the engineers that will do the deploying, and those will be the only ones that will have the merge permission.
Yeah.
So those will be the only one that can say, okay, this code will now go to the master branch, and I'm going to deploy it. So right now I am going to do it here, and I'm going to refresh. And now you see that this code has been merged. Where is the state? I always lose it. Okay, over master branch. Do it in. Why?
Well, I'm not able to see some buttons or some info.
Maybe. So yeah, I don't know. This code has been merged to develop. I don't know where it's not indicated in here, but now every developer that does the pull will get this code. It's at this point that somebody else has submitted or merged it, that the rest of the developers can do a git pull and get the latest code. And we know that this code has been looked at, that the test passed, but that it won't break the repository. And we know that the general quality is best. That's if we hadn't had Gerrit in the first place.
And some clients would argue, okay, so we use Bitbucket or we use GitHub, so we don't want to move to a different tool, a different repo. But however, you can add a plugin to automatically push safe code to GitHub or a Bitbucket.
Yeah. So you can have the review that you want, and then code available to any repositories that you want.
Yep.
So that's it for the demo. So I guess we have here a lot of questions.
Yeah.
Hey, hi. Thanks for that. I think Paul already wrote a question in the Slack. So I will ask people who have questions to, if you can just write in the Slack, then they could take it up one by one, or you can ask also. But I think Paul already wrote something, so you can.
I like. So the first question from Paul is how long this process of check, review, fix can be, and who's deciding to merge changes to the master?
Okay, so the first question is really on the developer. So there are developers that write excellent code the first time, and you go to maybe just the first one, it can be merged directly. Maybe there are other developers that are kind of sloppy, or they need to take some time, and this is good also to get feedback. So maybe you can ask your peers directly, but maybe you can push a patch and ask, okay, how's this? Should I change something? This is good. So that really depends. We try to motivate people to review often, so you don't get people stuck. So if I push something, I try to get my peers to review it as soon as possible, so I can, if there are some changes, I can apply them and keep working. But yeah, this probably shouldn't take more than 2 days before you start. You push it the first time, and that gets completed. Probably at most 2 days, and even 2 days, and even that's overkill. But depends a lot on the team and on the person.
Yeah, but it's really a cultural shift. In terms of, you see people here saying, hey, nobody's reviewing my code, and complaining about that. So, it's good when you hear that you feel like wants to be reviewed.
Yeah, and also it's a learning curve. So the first time you use it, you will take you longer, but you will get better. You will learn what people are looking for, and you will learn to write good code, and that will be much faster.
There's another question: who's designing to merge changes to the master?
That is whenever permission to do it. So Gerrit allows us to create groups and to assign people to groups and to grant those group permissions, or we can grant permission. So basically, it's whenever we see fit in the team to do it. So it can even be the client. So the client might be one that decides, okay, I want this change and not this one to go to the repo, even if the code quality is good and they serve the functionality they need to.
Yeah. Anushil asked, what is the frequency of reviews? If some devs like to commit code every 20 minutes, would that trigger a lot of reviews? Are there best practices on how frequent should it be?
Yeah, so the idea is that every change is self-contained. So every change brings something to the client or to the repo, starts a functionality, and it's complete. So you cannot push a change that has no test and then push another one that has test, or you cannot push code that knows that's failing something and then add the fix later. So the idea is that a change is totally self-contained. So you can cherry pick it or pick it in and pick it out, and everything is there, and it works good, and it does what it's supposed to do. Yeah. So user story, functionality, that really depends on the team. It's also a nice thing that we don't have really large things to review, because that can be a pain, and it's difficult to do. If you have to review, I don't know, 5,000 lines of code, that's impossible to do. Mm-hmm. Maybe 1,000 is also bad. So the team needs to reach an agreement of what's good and what's big enough and what's good enough. But a functionality is usually a good idea. So maybe
it can take you. I mean, if you have small, I had both in the past. Now currently I'm working, in the web page of Moove-it. We are updating our web page, so I'm receiving a change every 20 minutes, but with small changes. And every hour I would take 5 minutes, maybe less than 5 minutes, 2 or 3 minutes to review the changes, and I give them an OK, because we are kind of with the developer, we are on the same page, and we are in sync. Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
So I hope that answers your questions.
Yeah, no, for those, there are no really set in stone. You just need to start doing it and agree with your team, so what works and what doesn't work for you.
Yeah. Philip asks, what kind of plugins do you find useful?
Okay. So plugins, right now we are using the replication one because we have some clients that have code in GitHub, so we replicate there. But not much else. We have one that checks the length of the commit message, so it's not past 80. So that's where are the mouse? How do we?
Yeah, to the left. Yeah.
Okay. So
if you see the screen,
because the first line of the commit message is what's going to be displayed here. So if this is really long, are they reviewing the screen right now?
Can you see the screen right now?
Yeah, it's visible. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, the first line is going to be show here. So if this will be really long, it will be difficult to read. So we have a plugin that checks that. But there are others. There are not there are not a lot more that come by default. So these ones are the ones that we have right now. But you can create them. It's just Java code, and you can do a lot of stuff with this.
Yep. Taron asks, does Gerrit provide some mechanism for auto reviews, say for rules based on coding conventions, documentation conventions, etc.?
Yeah, you can create plugins or hooks for that, but we feel that that kind of thing should be on the client. So it should be the person doing the commit that has some tool that runs for them and adapts the code and runs some validations. So we feel that it's more the responsibility of the person coding than it is that the review server to check those kind of things, but it can be done.
Actually, I have a different opinion. I think it would be a great idea to have some automated syntax, I don't know, maybe checking for double spaces before commas, those kind of things. Okay.
Is that from your side or?
Somebody unmuted. So there's a poll.
I'll try to mute some. Is that?
How?
I'll try to mute everyone.
What is muted? All right. So how do you decide what are reviewing based on your experience? I found task switching to be really hard task.
In our experience, as a developers, we never have one task to work on right now, but we have something else in mind. So what I like to do is to get some good tool that is good enough, make a test, so I know the review won't be long, and push it up and start working on another thing. So yeah, because you are going to speak a lot of back and forth if you have critical code from the start, because probably fix some small thing, you can fix that and have a group, and you are working on other things at the same time. So
yeah, actually, I like to highlight functional which is
We can't hear you. I think this. Hey, Gustav, we cannot.
You have your team.
Hey, hi. We cannot hear you. I don't know who's Maximal. Yeah, I'm trying to. I think I muted everyone. Whoever is this. I'll try to do that. Okay. Give me a second.
Okay.
Well, he's not connected to audio, by the way. So I don't know whom to mute. Anyway, please go. Can you answer the question once more?
let's wait until it happens. We can still hear the voice. Okay, now we have a
Yeah, please stop. So what I was saying is that I want to highlight the educational value of Gerrit. Since
the question from the video.
Yeah, the code.
Okay, so where I feel that it works good for me, and probably that changes from person to person, is I like to create good code from the start, good code, and add the test that I think we need. Then push it up and start working on another thing. Because as a developers, we always have more than one thing to work on, so more than one feature. At least that's, I guess, that's the norm. There might be some exceptional cases. But then you push up some code that you know is pretty good, that it may get maybe a couple of comments or most. And then when those are ready and when people have reviewed it, then you can just go back, make a quick fix that won't take you more than half an hour at most. And then you have a finished product that will emerge. So in general, it's good to always push up some really good code and to dedicate yourself to another thing, to later maybe come back and throw it in maybe 10 minutes more or whatever to have the shell complete.
Yeah, and the goal is to converge to some common way to code.
Yes.
So here we have another question from Anushil. Can you control who the reviewer should be? For example, if it's code built on Stripe API, there might be a Stripe expert in the company, and I want them to review instead of a random person.
Yes, you can create groups of people. So you can create a Stripe group and throw them all in, and grant that group a permission to review this project.
And to give a positive 2, for example.
Yes, and nobody else can do it. You can change that at any point. You can remove the group or add it again. But yes, you have pretty tight control. Not so automatic to say, okay, this kind of change, I don't know how you will annotate that, will only be available to this group for review. But you can do that manually at any point. You can say, okay, from now on, from here and for 2 days, only this group will review. So those kind of things.
Yeah.
Hey, I think we may, like, we are almost running out of time. So if there is one final question, if someone is there who would like to ask something, can you please type? I see this Big Stale is typing something, so I will wait for him. And then after that question, I think if there are people, okay, so he's just saying thanks. So I think if there are follow-up questions, the Slack channel is anyway open and people can just post it, and I'm sure Gustav can answer them. Say, hey, it was really interesting. Thanks for this. Yeah, and so have a nice weekend, and thanks. Okay, bye.
Thank you very much. We are planning to share the presentation in SlideShare, and if you have any questions, please find us in this channel. Thanks.